Have you heard of the phrase decoy effect? Or the more fancy version of the name by economists, asymmetric dominance effect. Have you ever heard of this term? Because it's everywhere around us and it's a really, really powerful concept. And it's really important for a variety of reasons. So if there was a little pulse meter um, attached to all shoppers, you would find that when it comes to doing the actual transaction, pulling the trigger, whether it's entering their credit card or selecting between pricing options, you will find that 99% of the world starts freaking out. And it's kind of built into our DNA. This is almost our survival instinct. This is a fight or flight kind of moment for us. So it's evolutionary. From an evolutionary perspective, it's a pretty important thing for us. And of course it stays with us in the modern day as well. So, and now the reason why it's important from a marketing perspective is that we've talked about system 1 and system 2. System 2 is the rational side, system 1 is the irrational, the emotional side. And as a marketer, I always want the consumer to move to system 1 thinking, because I can then influence them. Because if they're thinking in a rational way, then it's harder for me to kind of nudge them. And when the user is confronted with price options, it creates anxiety, which causes us to kind of revert back to our lizard brain, which means we've now shifted back to system 1, which means now they can be influenced. I want to show you a great example of how this can be leveraged from a marketing perspective. So if you look at this, so I'm about to buy business cards for myself for the very first time. And I have a bunch of options over here. And of course, they have smartly selected the 500 card system, 500 card option for $56. Now, the first thing, now because obviously I didn't grow up knowing what the price of a business card should be. It's an abstract number as far as I'm concerned. So I have no point of reference. So the first thing I do is I'm trying to draw reference. And so what I do is I say, these buggers are trying to get me to buy 500 cards. Obviously, I want to get only 100 cards. So I look at this option. So this now becomes my comparison set, right? So I'm comparing 100 cards to getting 500 cards. And the price differential is incredible. So if I'm getting 100 cards, they're asking me to pay 40 cents per card. If I get 500 cards, they're asking me to pay 11 cents a card. That means that if I get 500 cards, there is a 72% reduction in the price point. And of course the price does not increase by 72%. So my point is that the price per card goes down by 72% and the cost doesn't go up that much. So clearly that's, our brains are wired for profit maximization. And so when I look at this, I feel like the 500 card clearly is a much better deal. But here's what I don't realize, and here's what none of us realize, is that almost nobody in their right mind would ever select the 100 quantity option. And Vistaprint knows this. In fact, they are banking on this. In fact, they don't even want us to get the 100 cards. What they've done over here is a classic example of decoy pricing. They don't expect anyone to really buy this, but it becomes an anchor on which they can compare the other options and they can see what the deal is. So this is a great example of decoy pricing where this option has only been presented to us as a point of reference. They know no one's going to use it. So now you know what decoy pricing is.